Hello, I'm Tony, and welcome to the Tony Shap Show. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. This week, I have a special guest with us. His name is Jason. I can't wait for him to share with you who he is, what his company is all about, and that way you guys can learn more about him. This is one of my special expert series that we have people with a high capability and they're expert in their field that I bring onto the show. That way they can share some value with you and also share with you what they do exactly and how they can help you and how they have helped people. With that said, I wanted to give a big warm welcome to Jason. Jason, welcome to the Tony Shap Show.
Thanks so much, Tony. It's fantastic to be here.
It's wonderful to have you on behalf of me and the guests listening. So take a second to tell everyone I always have a famous one-word open and a one-word close that we wrap it up. So what's the one-word open that you could use? What's the one word you could use right now to describe how you're feeling as we're getting started?
I'm jazzed. Excited
Awesome.
to be here. Excited about all that's going on right now.
Beautiful. Love it. So let's dive right in. So tell us about your business. Tell us what you guys do, what you're all about, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So I'm Vice President of Partnerships and Alliances at Sells Intel, but like most early stage companies, that means I wear a lot of hats. So I do a lot on the marketing side, a lot on the sales ops side. At Sells Intel, we're a B2B data provider. So giving you guys the ability to be able to go in and build out your ideal customer profile, identify companies to target, based off of things like firmographics, where's the company located, size, industry, stuff like that. Technographics, what technologies are they using? What's their technology footprint? Intent data, so we have a partnership with Bombora to be able to figure out like what are people showing intent to buy on, because one of the biggest stats that I gathered out of that partnership and starting to build out our marketing materials with it is, even if you've nailed your ICP and you know exactly the customers, exactly the companies you need to go after, only about 10 to 15% of those are actually actively engaged in buying processes at any given time. So if you don't have that additional insight, then you're really kind of spraying and praying as far as who you're going after. Then we marry that with our industry-leading contact information. And really our secret sauce to it is we run all of that through a team of human researchers that actually go through and verify all of that data. So, as like everything, machine processing algorithms only get you so far. And then the really kind of cool thing for us and what's going on in the industry right now is anybody who's familiar with the space knows the data space has gone through a tremendous amount of consolidation through mergers and acquisitions over the last few years. And the way that's gone has meant that the companies that really went that human verified 95% accurate route with it have all gotten consolidated into a company that doesn't prioritize that level of accuracy anymore. And so for me, as somebody who's been a long time in sales, marketing, sales ops, I know the value of high quality data. I know the costs associated with unreliable data. So having email campaigns that are emails that are bouncing, directed at the wrong people, feeding your sales team phone numbers that don't connect or are nothing more than switchboard stuff like that. It's really hard to be productive and efficient whenever you're dealing with data quality like that.
Yeah, quality is huge. I'm glad you mentioned that. So let's talk about your typical sweet spot. Who's your sweet spot of a client that's a good fit for you guys that you guys can make the biggest impact for when they start using Sales Intel?
Yeah, so on the company size side of things, from a funding standpoint, typically at least a Series A, ideally a Series B or larger. Revenue size, somewhere in that 10 to 20 million on the low end, all the way up to very large enterprise customers. So, really runs the gambit. But, typically it's going to be a company that's got, at least a few member marketing department, a company that's going to be big enough that it's got a bifurcated sales team between SDRs and account executives. On the SDR side, typically, at least 5 SDRs on the demand gen meeting setting side of the equation. And then as far as verticals, I mean, as with any SaaS company, SaaS tech, InfoSec, all of those are fantastic targets for us. But we also have a big focus in higher ed, finance, fintech, as well as hospitals, healthcare, stuff like that. So, but really broad spectrum we have, and one of the great things that we bring to the table is all of our data we source ourselves through our own first-party apps. So we've got over 7 million people on that suite of apps. And that's generating billions of data points for us. So, for us, it's really a matter of what do we prioritize out of that huge pool of data that we're pulling in to then run through the machine verification and the human verification side of things.
Excellent. I know you've mentioned a few things about your organization as we're learning and we're hitting our stride in this conversation. But if you had to sum it up in like a unique USP, unique selling proposition, what is that USP that you guys offer? And then the next question I'll go into will be integrations. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, we provide the highest quality B2B data that you need to drive your sales and marketing campaigns.
Excellent. Let's talk about integrations. So I know you guys have a lot of integrations. Let's, if you could share with us the top 5 that you love integrating with, and at the same time, not only do you love these 5, but it's the top 5 that you see people coming on board with you with.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you can imagine, data is only one side of the equation. Our data is only as valuable as people are putting it to work. And so the primary ways people put it to work, first off, is CRM has become the hub for most people, most of their tech stack. So instead of having to worry about does every piece integrate directly with every other piece, most companies have moved to a model where as long as all of the pieces of tech integrate with their CRM, then by extension, they integrate with each other. And so Salesforce is easily the most important integration we have. It's also the most robust. It's one of 2, along with Marketo, where we have enrichment functionality so that you can actually ping from your database into Sales Intel's data and then automatically enrich the data so you're making sure that it's complete and up to date. Like I said, Marketo is another one, HubSpot, additionally on the marketing automation side. So that's one of, the 2 big departments we primarily sell into are sales and marketing. So obviously, marketing's primary tech stack is marketing automation platforms, with Marketo and HubSpot being 2 of the leaders in that space. And then on the sales side of it, then of course, that's the sales acceleration sequencing tool. So we have integrations with SalesLoft and Outreach on that side, the 2 industry leaders on those pieces. And then working currently with Outreach to extend enrichment and additional functionality inside of that platform.
Excellent. So let's move on to a couple other things. So, we hear of the thing when people say, this may or may not be true. They say raise money when you don't need it, right? Some people could argue if that's valid or not. Some people say, sell your business when you don't need the money, right? So that way you're not doing like a fire sale. So with that said, when do you recommend a company, they're humming along, they're hitting their KPIs, they're getting a lot of new deals, they got a good lead flow, their funnels are dialed in. When do you recommend they should take a step back, and even though things are going well, when do you think that person listening to this right now, they could be a CMO, CEO, someone in charge of marketing, sales, like you said, and they're on the fence because, something is not broken, right? Why fix something that's not broken? So if they're hitting these KPIs, so here's my question. When do you think someone sitting in their seat listening to this, or driving, listening to this, when is a good time for an organization to buy more leads, to buy more data, when it's not expected to? Obviously if the sales are down, okay, we got to get sales on the board, right? Let's get the data, let's get more people, more prospects, qualify them and put them through the funnel. That's when you go after it. But that's obvious. When is it the most not obvious that you recommend people should reach out to you guys and find out?
Yeah, I'm actually going to flip that on its head. I would argue, as counterintuitive as it is, the customers that benefit the most from us are those ones that have things that well dialed in. because they've got the departments, they've got the manpower, they've got the tech stack, they've got the processes, all of that nailed down. And so whenever you inject new and in particular highly reliable data into that, you're able to leverage that much more effectively than somebody that's early stage and trying to figure out how all these pieces go together. And then, adding data to it, of course, is necessary. Adding more leads to it is absolutely essential to growing. But they're also typically trying to sort out all of those other pieces. And in fact, a lot of times, this goes for both sides of the equation. Adding more data into it or building out that tech tends to uncover a lot of those issues, a lot of those things. So like, for instance, on the partnership side, our best and most effective partnerships are with those platforms that are putting data to work. Because, whenever you onboard a dialing platform or a sequencing tool, now you're actually, 5-10xing your volume that you're doing. And so if you've got a lack of volume of data, or you've got issues with the quality of your data, all of a sudden that becomes really, really apparent. And on the flip side of it, if you now have a great source for a large volume of really high quality data, it's going to expose pretty quickly if you don't have the manpower or the tech or the processes in place to efficiently leverage that. So, as counterintuitive as it may seem, those companies that really have that stuff dialed in are the ones that typically will benefit quickest and have the biggest ROI and bang for their buck for onboarding and using something like this. And then the other piece is, whenever you've got it dialed in, a lot of times it can be hard to figure out, like, what are those big levers that you can pull to continue driving growth. Having high quality data gives you additional levers to be able to do that. So it's a lot more than just the volume that you're pushing into the top of the funnel. This helps to power the feedback loops that helps you get really scientific about, what's working, what's not, being able to look at your data and say, hey, I know definitively this is that type of company when I'm going back and trying to do, quarterly or monthly revisions to ICP and figure out what worked and what's my model there, what am I going to go out and try and replicate. And, the other last piece on that is no matter how well you have it dialed in, it's always a shifting landscape. Your product is shifting, your positioning is shifting, what your competition is doing, what the needs of the marketplace. I mean, look at what's gone on this year. The ground is shifting underneath everybody. And so all of that is constantly changing.
That's really great. So as we're wrapping it up, let us know how our listeners could get a hold of you, your website address, and if they have any questions about this conversation, how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so the website, sellsintel.io. My email address always available, jason.hubbard@sellsintel.io. Easy ways to get in touch with us. Also a great way if you're interested in taking a look at and doing a test drive of the data. We have a free Chrome extension called RevDriver. So if you visit the website, fill out any of the forms on the website, you'll be prompted as one of your options to go to the Chrome store and install that. Literally 60 seconds, you've got your account created, you're up and running. And that gives you 100 free contacts a month. So as you're going up and prospecting across the web, visiting pages or people's profiles on LinkedIn, stuff like that, you can actually pull phone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses, stuff like that to extend your follow-up and outreach beyond just those LinkedIn connections and email messaging and stuff like that.
Excellent. And let's wrap it up with the one-word close. So what's the one-word close?
Let's go with optimistic.
Optimism. Love it. Love it. Well, there you go, folks. There's Jason. He said something really powerful when we were listening earlier. He said that when he flipped it, he said that you need to have the right data, the right quality, because to his point, we said it's really powerful because you can have your funnels dialed in. You can have, a volume amount of leads going through, but if the data, the quality is not good, forget it, right? Your metrics are going to be off, your conversion rates, and your COA is going to still stay high. So that's really important what he said. I think it's going to be an eye-opener to a lot of our listeners. So I appreciate you coming onto the show, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I'm looking forward to having you back on sometime in the near future, Jason.
It's been great, Tony. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and great to have you, and thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. Till next time, onwards and upwards.